And welcome in everybody to the Summit City Sports Report, the 2024 Roundtable for week number 9. My name is Jeff Mahoney. We have Tim Atkinson joining us, Jaron Matheny. We will have others joining us as they're able to join the show. Hunter Sosenheimer now on the show to go over last week's games. A busy weekend, 7 games in total. We're going to start off with my game, which was Northside at Wayne. Northside winning it 42-12. We had a running clock in the second half. I don't think anybody expected that right there, but an outstanding game here by Tristan Newsom. 10 of 13 passing, completion percentage of 77% for 242 yards and 3 touchdowns. All 3 of his touchdown passes going to Malik Moore, as you see down here, 4 receptions, 141 yards. Also got rushing touchdowns from Tristan. That was the first touchdown of the game. Caleb Kingley in his return with a touchdown. He looked outstanding out there. He had that burst. He was showing off the quicks. I think Coach Johnson holding him out a couple extra weeks there in the middle of the regular season is really going to pay dividends here in the long run. Also here, Rashawn James with a touchdown. Boy, he looked good as well. I actually had it down as Ben Davis, the freshman, was on the roster, but you never kind of know when stats translate over to max prep. So Malik Moore was the MVP in this game, and not just for what he did receiving. Tim and I think Tim mentioned it last week that he looks like a difference maker at safety. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now because he did have 2 interceptions in this game. So let me take it down here a little bit. Yeah, it shows him with 2 interceptions right there. Jamari Pearson also had a 50-50 jump ball interception. But Malik Moore coming down from that safety spot, Tim, I'm going to say it right now. He's the second best safety in Northeast Indiana. Malik Moore coming down and laying the hit on Kemar Nelson in the Generals' very first possession of the game. That caused a fumble. It was picked up by, I believe it was Quindell White, number 20, but I'll have to double check. But Tim, he was an absolute difference maker on the defensive side as well as on the offensive side.
Yeah, he's been talked about a lot by his wide receiver skills, and definitely has those. There's no question about it. But he looks very natural playing safety and coming up, and we saw it a week ago, coming up and laying some absolute monster hits to go with that speed. I mean, the speed is just tremendous. I saw Coach Johnson put a video out with him and Tristan Newsom having a little sprint off that Malik got him by a little bit. But he is, to me, he looks like the making of a D1 safety prospect. We've seen him in this city. We've produced a lot of safety talent throughout the years, but Jeff, I would definitely put him. I mean, that's a great ball thrown right there by Newsom on the run.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Tim, you notice how he's buying time here. He's looking off the safeties to the right, then comes back to the middle of the field. That's a high IQ play.
Yeah, he pump faked out wide too, like he was going to throw an out. And I think that was all set up on his doing. The progression of Tristan Newsom in his senior year at quarterback is nothing short of remarkable, in my opinion. Yep. He has been tremendous. Started the season a little bit slower. I mean, still put up the numbers. Don't get me wrong, still put up the numbers, but decision making has gotten so much better week in and week out. But yeah, I mean, I would put him. I haven't seen Carroll live. But I would put him, I'll see them this Friday, but I would put Brandon Logan from Snyder at 1 and the second best safety in the Summit Athletic Conference right at 2. He is tremendous, and I think he has the natural skills to be able to produce himself into a D1 caliber player.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And, going to the other side of the ball, looking at Wayne, boy, they just did not look like they were interested in playing the game in the second half. Jacob Sharon had a nice catch for 38 yards. Tyree Eldridge had a beautiful touchdown, a 24-yard touchdown reception from Harold Mack. But, you look at Kemar Nelson, they just kept feeding Kemar Nelson. And I think in this game, when you've got guys like Josh Masasu and you're playing a single safety deep in Malik Moore, who, given the fact that they're playing single safety and Malik Moore can come up and provide those hits for you, that's a big benefit for the Northside defense. But you would almost like to have seen Wayne go to the pass a little bit more early on instead of trying to ride Kemar Nelson. I'm not so sure that Kemar was feeling his best in that game. He was a little bit late to get out to warm-ups. There was one time in the game when he was kind of leaning over on the bench on the sideline. So honestly, it did not look like he was feeling 100% down there on the field. Now, that being said, he still provided some pretty big highlights in this game. I'm just going to show you this sack right here. As you can see, Kemar comes in and absolutely obliterates the offensive lineman. That just shows you his natural abilities right there. You never see that in a high school varsity football game. And I just thought that right there just showed you that he is definitely next level. He's definitely D1, major D1 level in my mind, as far as just his natural athleticism and ability. You know, he did not go on all of the college tours this past summer, where a lot of these guys will pay to go to a camp, you know, an ID camp, sometimes they call it, but to get recognized. And you have to pay for those camps. And Kemar did not go to those camps. And I think that has kind of hurt him in the recruiting process. Now, a week earlier, Eastern Michigan was at the Wayne game. They were checking out Harold Mack, and the coaches they walked away very, very impressed with Kemar Nelson. His invite to Toledo came from Darius Alexander, a former Wayne defensive lineman who was the MAC Defensive Player of the Week after that homecoming game. So a lot of things working with Kemar's recruiting. I know he's been invited to attend a Purdue game. I couldn't think of a better college for Kemar than maybe Purdue, who has been known to put out very good defensive linemen. When you think of Ryan Kerrigan, then you think of Lawrence Johnson, who ended up finishing off his career at Auburn.
Right.
Those are just some of my thoughts from this game. Wayne didn't, to be honest with you, Wayne did not have trouble moving the ball to start the game. They just kept shooting themselves in the foot with fumbles. I think it was their first 3 possessions were fumbles and then an interception, but they definitely were not interested in playing the game in the second half.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on that when you said loading the box and just having the one safety and Malik Moore. Coach Johnson that tells you everything you need to know about Malik Moore and his speed to be able to get back and cover if he has to. That is something that is a huge advantage for a defense. If they can load the box, daring you to pass and knowing that they have some good corner covers, but to have Malik Moore be able to use his speed to get back to help his defensive backs, that says a lot about his ability.
Yeah, and rangy to be able to go sideline to sideline. So he can get pulled over here to the left, and this wide receiver could beat the DB there. He can still track that wide receiver down running across field. But yeah, Tim, you counted up right here. You got 8. Now that's 9 in the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yep, and then 1 DB and then Malik out of our screen is probably what it is. I mean, that's insane. You know, and they did that a lot against Southside the week before, and getting that win. There it is again. You know, and getting that win. So that's 2 wide receiver set. So you're bringing another one up. But I'm telling you, Northside, they squeaked that one in the totem pole game, and they just knew Coach Johnson did not give up on his kids. That's going to get a ball right there from Jamari Pearson. But to just squeak out of that, get by, Coach Johnson said every win is hard in the Summit Athletic Conference. There's not an easy game. Southside, Concordia, that teams that are a little bit down, you still got to come out and play. And then to come out and do what they did against Wayne, forcing all those turnovers and winning handedly, really sets them up with a little momentum going to host the Summit Athletic Conference champion and the Carroll Chargers this Friday.
Yeah, and I've been saying it all week or all year, really, like, where's Jamari Pearson been? And folks, a lot of that is just looking at the stat sheet. I'm not watching every single play of every single game, even though I do watch a lot of football, and I know that you guys do too. But Jamari Pearson had himself a game right here, and you definitely remembered number 1 in this game. This is just one of the examples here, a catch, and check out the run after. And that's 1, that's 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. So it took 3 guys, number 4, 5, and 6 to bring him down. So, it was still a fun game, you guys, just because Northside looked beautiful. And talking about Caleb Kingley, I mean, he is back. I just want to show you a little bit of what I'm talking about with the quick little burst. Watch the choppy feet, and those little chops right there equate to explosiveness on the very next step.
That's Kingley. Did he change his number?
Yeah, he's wearing number 22 in this game. He is number 5, but I'm not sure if the jersey got stuck in the washer or if it got washed with some of the pink jerseys from the volleyball. I don't know what happened. But
I think he is switching numbers. Like he's wearing 22 on the road and then 5 at home, because when they were playing, when I did their last game, he was wearing 22 as well. And
okay.
I had to go to Joe, and I was just like, "Hey man, what's going on here? Who is this guy?"
Yeah, that's wild for a starting running back to do a double number like that. That's a little different. You see it in soccer sometimes with the home and away, different numbers, but not normally. Usually with
right.
And Northside has a lot of uniforms, so it's a little surprising. We'll have to ask Coach Johnson about that tomorrow.
Most definitely. Well, up next, let's take a look at the Snyder game. It was Bishop Dwenger at Snyder, one of the best rivalries in all of Northeast Indiana. And, Snyder pulling away late, 17-6. Boy, Lucas Nguyen just keeps coming through for Bishop Dwenger. Look at that, a 46-yard field goal. And Tim, just tell us about that field goal. It looked like he hit it pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, it was leaning a little bit wide. He's a lefty kicker. He was kicking from right to left on the football field, and it just tucked inside the upright. Probably had another 3 yards, maybe 4 yards of space that he pushed it through. Let's take another look at it. Just tucked in. It died on him a little bit. The wind was out there, but you're looking at another 3-4 yards there. He's definitely kicking 50 yards. He is. Now, this game has 2 of the best kickers that we've seen in the Summit Athletic Conference in a decade. Lucas Nguyen and Mong Tung for Snyder, 2 outstanding kickers. I know Coach Garrett, they had an opportunity. They were down 7-0. They had the ball in the red zone. I'm saying it was 3rd and long. I think it was 3rd and long. And O'Keefe threw the interception in the end zone to Woodson. Woodson made a great play on it. But it was right there. You're thinking, and we talked to Coach Garrett earlier in that week about the weapon of Lucas Nguyen, who in my opinion is a D1 kicker, and I guarantee you he's going to be. Mong Tung has that opportunity as well, but he had, those are the type of sophomore quarterback mistakes that just throw that ball away, let Lucas Nguyen get up to the plate, and let him stroke a 30, it would probably been a 35, maybe 36-yard field goal at that time. And then you cut the lead to 7-3. It has a different feel to the game if that happens, instead of the interception that I believe it was Dallas Woodson had it.
Was that the play right there, Tim, that I just
showed?
No,
there was one earlier. That was a tip ball by the receiver that Braylon Fertil made a beautiful concentration interception on. It was early in the game, Jeff. But yeah, Lucas Nguyen, tremendous kicker. He has so much confidence. And I also got to give credit to their holder, Charlie Getty. He had on that long, I think it was the first field goal. It was a high snap that he got down. There it is. Yeah, that high snap. So it was on that long one. If you replay it, watch Charlie Getty. Look at that catch. That catch high, that's above his helmet, and then brings it down, and for Nguyen to stroke it without any disruption on Lucas Nguyen's walk up. That you got to give the holders and very much credit on that one for sure. But yeah, it was just some sophomore mistakes from Nick O'Keefe. Their starting quarterback was still hurt, and Henry Jordan. He was in shorts to start it. That 1 for 10. I don't know if that's right, Jeff, but
2 for 12.
Okay, that's and he had some open receivers. He missed a couple, but you're going to see that with some youngsters that haven't had a lot of varsity reps, especially against a defense like Snyder. 2 things: one of the main things we took out of that, Mong Tung and Lucas Nguyen are outstanding kickers, and our weapons. We saw the weapon with Mong Tung last year against Mishawaka in that regional final to move to semi-state to get. I think that was a 47-yarder. But yeah, Dwenger had some opportunities as well. If you go down, Jeff, to that Carter Zent pass breakup right in the middle there. Yep. So right here, Aaron Vance, one of his few mistakes that he did, he kind of threw it up for grabs here with space, a little bit under pressure, but that right there has got to be intercepted.
Yes.
And Dwenger had one earlier too on the sideline that the defensive back had both hands on the ball and just didn't bring it down. This game could have went a different way. There's no doubt about it. I'd like to see Brady O'Keefe, the older one, play offense a little bit more. But I'm not the coach of Bishop Dwenger. I know they need him on defense badly. So, but yeah, it was the kickers. I came out of that. Dwenger not taking care of those mistakes right there, and Braylon Burton. Braylon Burton, tremendous freshman running back. This kid is legit. He had a 67-yarder or something. This was to cap off that drive that he already rushed that down inside the 5. That's a freshman bulldozing right there.
Looked like he was hit at the 3-yard line.
Yeah, he is tough to bring down, Jeff, and he's got great speed, as we saw on his long run. That was a couple plays prior to that. Aaron Vance, just a wizard on the play action. We saw that early against Warren Central. He's got a very good ability of hiding the football on his hip on those fake handoffs. He was throwing on the money on the run in some tight windows as well. As here's the Braylon Burton run. Look at him follow the blocker and then the speed. I mean, that is next level speed. And look how hard he's to bring down.
Yes.
I mean, he's a freshman. He's only going to get better.
Yes.
And I was excited to watch him play. But Snyder was the better team tonight. Dwenger could have stuck in it a little bit more if they got some of those interceptions to get caught. But I'm telling you, Snyder, they have all the weapons. 6A is going to be tough. Their draws, it's going to be tough to get out of 6A. But Snyder, very impressive. Aaron Vance, Landon Fry was tremendous on defense. Of course, as always, the nonstop ability of their defensive line, especially in the fourth quarter, really took over that game and shut Dwenger out of having any opportunity to get in it. That was Alan Bolton coming on a cornerback blitz right there, and he didn't give up on the play there. You see a lot of kids may give up on the play, may lay down, and a great hero shot there from Joel Ray. But yeah, Alan Bolton, Dwenger or Snyder was coming with different looks, some cornerback blitzes. They were coming from different angles to try to, up end Nick O'Keefe, and the sophomore quarterback. But Dwenger's still a very good team. Their defense is really good. They found a weapon here in Max Jordan. Watch his punt. Sheesh.
20, 40. That landed 50 yards. That landed 50 yards in the air.
And Logan's just trying to make a play there. The back judge right there has got to realize that Brandon Logan is going to pick that ball up and try to go. But
30-yard line right there.
He had one earlier. They run this kind of, it's almost a fake setup. So he goes like kind of a rugby style kick. And if the defensive pressure doesn't come, they're giving him the opportunity to read it and then to go for the first down. He had one, I think his first punt in the game, came really close to that, and he ended up punting it right at the last minute. But I think Dwenger is going to be able to do some damage in 4A. They got a tough draw in Columbia City. Snyder, though, I think they win that sectional in 6A. I think it's going to be really tough to keep the Panthers out of that, especially with the way Aaron Vance is throwing the ball in tight windows. He does not need a lot of space like we saw earlier in the season. But yeah, the Dwenger defense, Dylan Tittman and Houston Ellinger, they had some games. Yeah. Peter Thiel was in the backfield quite a bit. But those two juniors were absolutely tremendous. They opened a lot of eyes against that defense, no doubt about it.
Speaking of opening eyes, and I do want to say it did look like Jamarion Calabodi played a little bit of defense on that ball that should have been intercepted. It looked like he got his hand in there and tipped it away. And
he may have, Jeff. He may have.
Yeah, I just want to find that hit by Dougie Henry if you could help navigate me.
That would have been towards the end-ish of the game.
But that was a big one right there. I know it got a lot of views on social.
Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. It would have been. I don't think it would have been posted before all your posts.
Okay. Well, we can come back to that. I'll keep looking for it.
Dougie Henry. He played Superman basically as Vance was rolling out towards the Dwenger sideline. He's dropping back into defense. Was Dougie Henry, and as soon as you could see Vance get close to the line of scrimmage, Dougie Henry just quickness came and absolutely laid out Vance, caused the fumble. Snyder did recover it, but it was one of the biggest hits that I've seen all year long.
Yeah.
And it came from a linebacker just coming up and just laying some wood, had no regard for his own safety, which I absolutely loved. But yeah, he was, let's see here. Yeah, the other thing is that I formation for Dwenger worked really well, which I really like to see a little bit more of that. Simplifies things too for a sophomore quarterback. But with Shefferly as the up back and then Gus Tippmann in the dot in the eye, that was an effective formation for Dwenger. I think that's something they can build on as well. But Snyder, once again, I came out of that. Aaron Vance, so impressive. Braylon Burton, so impressive. The Dwenger defense still looked as fast as what I saw them against Northside. It's the kickers, tremendous. It was a really fun game to watch. Great crowd on hand, as always, between those two schools. That rivalry game is super fun.
Yeah, hard-hitting game, too.
Yeah.
Well, over at Southside, how about the Archers picking up their first win under Coach Andre Goodwill? That's not Concordia. So outstanding, his third win as the head coach at Southside. And I'm convinced that Southside will be able to compete in that sectional number 19 with some of the top teams in Class 4A. And yeah, Hunter was just mentioning that some of the tweets didn't make it on Facebook, only on Twitter. So we'll see if we can fix that. But anyways, Hunter, tell us about this game right here. I mean, came all the way down to the wire, and Southside just flat out got it done.
Yeah, it was a crazy game all the way around. Starting out in the first quarter, no one scored in the first quarter of action. It was just a back and forth game, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. So it was just a back and forth game all the way around. And you see the blocked extra point right there. Just huge for Southside. A big win for the Archers, getting the win over Lures. I mean, it was just a crazy game, crazy environment there too as well. Bishop Lures started the scoring in the second quarter of action. Patterson had a 5-yard rushing TD. I'm not sure if it got on there either, but yeah, that made it 7-0. Lures went into the halftime break, and Lures I feel like they just came out really, really flat. Went 3 and out on their first drive, fumbled the next drive, threw an interception the following drive, and then they were finally able to score a touchdown in the last quarter that right before that blocked PAT. So Southside played a tremendous game defensively and all the way around offensively too as well.
Yeah, Silas Portee, big game running the ball here, 42 yards and a touchdown. Josiah Malone, 47 yards on just 3 carries and a touchdown. You can see KJ Alexander just 1 for 1, Robert Murphy 1 for 8. So when did it feel like Southside was trying to throw the ball in this game? Seems like, they're going to be 70-30 run pass.
Yeah, so it was they went with a different look in the formation too this week as well. I've just seen different spreads and different formations all year long with Coach Goodwill and the Archers, but this week they ran a lot in the I formation. All their plays came out of the I formation. It was just a tremendous thing to see. I mean, they have the strength in the backfield to be able to run the I formation, and I mean, they did a tremendous job of it. They're still, I don't know what the whole quarterback situation is with Southside, but they are playing Murphy and Alexander. They're still splitting reps with them. But it looked like Bishop Lures locks in Patterson as their starting quarterback though too. So
definitely a nice looking run there by Devin Patterson to give them the lead. But yeah, you talked about Southside tying it up right here. Take us to this play.
Yeah, this was just a tremendous run. Just pushing it, the push there from the linemen. Just look at that. They're pushing him all the way forward across midfield. It was just a tremendous job there by the fullback. And then the push from the offensive line was just tremendous right there.
Yeah, and then it was this Portee on the short touchdown run. Not sure if that was on there. It looks like it's right here.
Yeah, that push of the offensive lineman's been happening all year. Yeah. They have a huge offensive line, and they're obviously coached to do that. Yeah. They do not stop. I don't know why most other lines we don't. The South Side has had that push on their line better than any other team I've seen all year.
Yeah, and I think the Archers are starting to turn the corner here a little bit. I mean, getting the win against Concordia was huge for them. Only losing that game 6-0 to Northside, and then just coming out and getting this win. The fake punt right here, this just completely blew my mind. Like, it was tremendous from midfield, 4th and 5. He just took off with it to the near sideline, and that is what won the Archers the game. Just tremendous right there, and it was an awesome environment. Right after that touchdown happened, I kid you not, Southside Archers Field, if they had a roof on that place was exploding. It was unreal. And then, like I said, they went out, got a stop defensively. I believe this is the touchdown that Bishop Lures scored to make it a 14-13 game. A good ball. That's there.
A good throw.
Yeah, that was a good throw. I believe it was to Kirikoff is who that tight end was there. Just right over the top, found him in the right place, right time. That happened with 19 seconds left, and then Southside goes, and the magic comes to them. Get the block PAT to win it. It was a tremendous game by the Archers. Jason Timberlake Johnson had a tremendous game defensively. I don't know if his stats came up, but he played both offensive and defensively. Had quite a few tackles, had an interception too in the game. And Aviator White, he's been tremendous all year long there for South too as well. Dietrich Smith, DeMarcus Barr. It was just an all-around great defensive performance for the Archers to lead them to this win.
Yeah, it looked, Hunter, like Dietrich Smith could have blocked that with his kneecaps. He was in there so quick. Is that what it looked like live?
Yeah, he got in. It was a tremendous block there by him. It's right next to the Concordia video, Jeff, the block extra point at the top here.
It'd be the other side of the field. There it is.
Yeah, they came. He just came right up the middle. I mean, just look at that. That was tremendous. 19 seconds left in the game, and you just see Southside sideline explodes after that happens.
Wow.
Now, was there any talk up there when Malone had that fake punt? Can you hear the Southside coaches talking? Because rumor has it out on the social media world was a decision by Josiah himself.
Yeah, no, I really didn't. I mean, I wasn't even expecting it. Didn't hear anything in the press box. Usually coaches are in the press box. Southside had their coaching staff in the press box. I didn't hear anything on it. And then when he took off with it, it was just like, oh, shock. Like the press box was just going wild. Like he was taking off with it. And nobody was in front of him too when he went with it. So.
Yeah, because I had Southside coaching staff sitting next to me at the Northside game, and there was a punt that he went that ended up being a flag, so it was a do-over, but he took it upon himself to run a fake punt. So I was just curious if that was the case or not, because boy, that was a gutsy move from Josiah, but it panned out, and that's what led him to the win. So
gutsy move. The game was tied at 7, so it was just like it was a 4th and 5, so it was just like. You either take off with it or you boot this away and put Lures deep in their own territory too. That's the other thing on it. If he would have punted it, it would have put Lures deep in their own territory. But I mean, for him to take off with it and get that touchdown, that's the game-winning touchdown right there. That's what won him the game.
What was Williams? Did he not? I mean, he's had a really good year thus far. Only 20 yards on 7 carries. Was it just them not the opportunity, or? Were they going with D. Hogue a little bit more?
Yeah, so I don't know if Williams was banged up. I was expecting Williams to be in for quite a bit of the game, but Hogue was controlling the backfield for Lures. He had a few good runs to start the game. So then, I think it was a decision by Coach Lindsay. You got to stick with what works. And 10 and a half yards per carry is very, very good. So D. Hogue, he had a tremendous game on the ground there for Lures too.
Right on.
Wow. Williams, second leading rusher in Northeast Indiana entering this game. So that's interesting to hear. Devin Patterson, career high 13 completions and a career high 13 attempts. And he just missed tying a season high of 155 yards passing. How did the junior quarterback look?
Yeah, he looked tremendous. Like I said, they're sticking with Patterson. That's something that the Lures Knights have down. And I think he looked tremendous through the air. Had a few good runs as well. As you see, 7 carries. That they don't have him listed for any yardage, but I mean, if he had the opportunity to take off with it, he took off with it and got one of their scores there for Lures. So excited to see how this loss turns into them. If this will build momentum and help them make a deeper postseason run. But for South, that was a big win for the Archers, knowing that they're going to go and play at Northrop next week and then go right into sectional play where they're going to play East Noble in the first round. So,
yeah, I mean, you got Homestead to finish up the regular season, so you definitely don't want to head into the playoffs with 3 losses in a row. But of course, Norwell sitting at 2-6, they got a pretty nice draw there for the playoffs.
yeah.
So next game up is Homestead and Concordia. Sparty getting to work in early and often. The running clock in the second half here. Thad, you had the call on this one. Boy, Michael White having himself a nice game, 17 of 21, completing 81% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. How'd the Homestead offense look, Thad?
The Homestead offense looked very good, and Michael White, you just read his stats. His arm strength was on display right out of the gate. First play from scrimmage, and Michael White airs out a deep ball to Liam Moore, gets Homestead set up, I believe, with a goal-to-go situation inside the 5 right on the first play from scrimmage. And that really helped to open things up. Michael White, his passing game kind of helped open up the run game. Here's a look at the play right now. And by the way, I got to give credit. That offensive line did an excellent job. They gave him all kinds of time to throw the football. And, Liam Moore, he runs a great route down the field. White does underthrow him just a little bit. Moore had to kind of wait on it, but he runs a good route, makes a catch, and Moore hits him. And you hear a lot about teams running to open up the pass. For Homestead, it was kind of the other way around. They passed to open up the run, and there's one of the ways it pans out for him. Jake Thrash, one of his 2 touchdowns on the game. So the balance for Homestead was very, very good, and they were able to throw in a few wrinkles as well. Of course, I believe this was a big hit on this kickoff return that we're about to see here. Concordia had a hard time getting anything going. Yeah, absolutely excellent hit there. Number 14 for Homestead, Courtney Glaspie was the one that made that tackle. But Homestead, the balance was working. The running game was working. The passing game was working. And they were able to throw in a few wrinkles as well. Get Carter Kennedy on a jet sweep. He gets down to the 1-yard line. We saw Michael White's running ability. And Cale Swagger, who made that catch, 6 catches, 99 yards, I believe, for him. White was spreading the ball around. A whole bunch of different playmakers were stepping up.
Wow, defensively led by Sam Stewart. Well, how did Sam look in this game, the Purdue commit?
Honestly, only saw a little bit of Sam Stewart. He had just 1 tackle in the ball game. We didn't see much of him in the running game either. He ran the ball, maybe it was 3 times in the game. Ultimately, it was a great team defensive performance. 3 sacks. I think it was only 1 tackle for loss, but the penetration from Homestead's defense was very good. They made Jack Andrews, the quarterback, very uncomfortable, it seemed like. Andrews was able to get off a few deep balls, but nothing really consistent on the Concordia side. The front for Homestead got the penetration and really affected things, totally took away the running game.
Yeah, and then you can see Rogers' name back on here, the sophomore Nolan Rogers, getting a little bit more playing time than he's been used to this year, wearing that number 41 that his dad wore. Cam, how'd Nolan look in that game? Did he stick out to you at all?
Well, he made a couple of plays in the game. I think he looked pretty good all in all. Obviously, 2 tackles. It was a great team effort by this Homestead defense. They all played their assignments very well. And Rogers, I definitely say he had a pretty good game. I think there was a couple of plays he made that stood out to me, but I forget which points in the game they were.
And then looking at Concordia, Thad, did they leave you with anything good to remember them by in that game?
There was a couple of moments where Concordia really had some chances to get back in the ball game. They force a turnover in the red zone with Homestead driving, looking to take a 28-0 lead. Concordia comes up with a turnover. Jacob Levitt falls on the football. So the defense showed a little bit of resiliency. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get anything going out of that. That was an opportunity. There was another one where they got a stop on Homestead's following drive. Concordia definitely had chances where they could have completely shifted the momentum in this game. Unfortunately, it just did not happen. Concordia really wasn't able to sustain anything offensively.
Any player from Concordia stand out to you?
I'd say Jacob Levitt probably had the best game out of everybody from Concordia. Levitt comes up with a couple fumble recoveries. He was of all the guys from Concordia that were consistently in the Homestead backfield, I'd say Levitt was probably the most consistent, comes up with 1.5 tackles for loss, although Riley Ripke also 2.5 tackles for loss in his own right. I'd say those two guys definitely had a good game up front for Concordia. But the offense had their opportunities to change the momentum of that game, and they just couldn't do it.
Boy, Levitt, I'm glad that you singled him out because he's having one heck of a year with 68 tackles through 8 games and 10.5 tackles for a sack. So good call on that one, Thad.
Yeah, thanks.
Up next, Jaron had himself an interesting game, to say the least. Leo at Columbia City. Jaron, people are still talking about this game here, but
yes,
Columbia City winning it 21-16.
Yeah, we could get into the controversy in a minute if you want, but let's start at the beginning of the game because opening drive for Leo, they march right down the field, and they're right on the doorstep in the I formation for the first time, and they give it to the fullback, and the ball, I think it would be the clip before this one probably, Jeff, but if it loads, they give it to the fullback, it gets ripped away. Gavin Smith, basically, he just pulled the ball out of the Leo fullback's arms, took it the other way, gave a little nice stiff arm. Here it is, stiff arm to Landon Hepner after the fact, but they stonewall him, and then Smith just rips it right out. Really heads up defensive play, and it felt like for Columbia City, they needed that because last week we were there, Jeff, the week before when they fell behind to East Noble early, and when they fall behind and they can't run the offense that they want to consistently, it becomes a problem. So huge turnover here. Gavin Smith rips it away. Again, nice little stiff arm at the end here to get 10 extra yards, basically. And then the Eagles got rolling from that on their opening drive. And Trace Parrish, the fullback, was out last week. We saw them go to Landon Fazio against East Noble for some more speed. But this week against Leo, it was Ethan and Corbin McIntosh really in the fullback position. This is Ethan, 4th or 5th carry on this drive before he hits the end zone. Corbin had a couple nice carries as well. And the McIntosh boys had a great night on the gridiron for Columbia City. And then ensuing kickoff, Leo fumbles the ball. And it was just one of those things where it felt like the Lions had all this momentum driving down the field, first drive of the game, and then blink of the eye, and Columbia City gets the ball back after just scoring. Good job by the Leo defense. They force a field goal on this possession, and Brock shot with the sack. Field goal was good, made it 9-0. And we'll talk about the kicking issues in a little bit too, I'm sure. But then it was really on Leo to bounce back and to get in the game. And they went to Nathan Foster because when they've had problems this year, they've gone to Foster, and he's been able to provide an extra boost for them on the ground and with his legs. He's done a really good job. He's got some shiftiness out in space that you just don't see a ton from somebody, and this is one of the big runs for him. Good little pitch out, and then see ya. One cut off to the races, gets in. Leo, and this was in the second half, goes for 2. They run the option just like that again, but Hepner put his foot in the ground and then came back across the formation on the other side, and they pitched it back to him, and he had wide open, could have gone for 50 yards if they needed to on the pitch back around, reverse to the other side. So that tied it at 15, and then things got interesting from there, to say the least, because Leo, they probably had a chance to win this game, truthfully. And if they go back and, they made a short field goal to take the lead 18-15, but this is the play everybody's talking about. Block the field goal. Great effort. Great surge up front. You block the field goal. But in high school football, when it's a field goal, if that ball doesn't carry past the line of scrimmage, it's a live football.
Right.
And shout out to McIntosh, because he realized it was a live football, and he recovers the ball. Now, the one thing I wonder for Leo is they blocked a PAT earlier in this game, and you wonder just if that, like, in your mind, you're just thinking, all right, we've already blocked one, we block another one, no big deal. We're used to doing this. Landon Hepner already had 2 blocked field goals coming in. But the whistle blows here as well.
Right.
And you can see the official signaling no good. So that, for Leo fans, is where I can see where you're upset, because if the whistle doesn't blow, maybe the kids are heads up and realize on the fly this is a live ball. You never know because the whistle blew. But there's the white cap giving the signal. Play continues. Columbia City scores. And then Coach Durfler and Coach Fox were basically in the huddle with the officials as that conversation happened. The officials got it right. In the end, they got it right. Didn't make the right call with the blown whistle on this play, but they get it right in the fact that they redo the down. And I think the bigger thing for Coach Fox is he just got a chance to think, okay, we've already had a blocked PAT. Now we've got a blocked field goal. Our special teams hasn't looked great today. They had to call fire on another play to try and get 2-point conversion on their first touchdown. So he said, hey, let's roll the dice. Let's see. I've got Stratton Fuller is what he said, basically. And when you got Stratton Fuller and you got somebody that's going D1, you got to try to get it to him. And Bradbury didn't throw the ball really all game long, 2 for 5 in total. But when it mattered, we saw the baseball arm a little bit from Grayson Bradbury, because he's going to Butler to play baseball. And he put it on the money, inside pylon, where only Stratton Fuller could get it. And that wins Columbia City. And Eagles fans are happy that wins them the game, because either way it ends up, somebody was going to be upset one way or the other with how things shook out. I think the touchdown's a little bit further down, Jeff. There it is. Grayson Bradbury to Stratton Fuller for the win. But a crazy game that ended with a beautiful pass from Grayson Bradbury.
Boy, it doesn't even get much closer than that right there. It looks like he was able to sneak his left knee in. Wow, that is just great concentration and a great catch by Fuller. And, on that blocked PAT, it looks like it's the defensive lineman that keeps that ball from going over the line of scrimmage. It honestly looks like 2 different players blocked that kick for Leo.
Yeah, there were, and it felt like even on the point after that was blocked early in the game, that they had good push up front on point afters all game long. They got around the edge there, but it really was the push up front that got them. And I think might be Isaiah Kuhlman, who got his hand up in the air at the end there on the line too. There's something special with that special teams group, because they blocked a lot of field goals and a lot of PATs this year. You just have to be aware of in the moment what's going on. And again, if the whistle doesn't blow, who knows what happens. But a crazy play that Columbia City is fortunate to get the win, even though they should have gotten the win in the first place, if that makes sense.
And I'm sure with the crowd that was on hand, as soon as that was blocked, I'm sure the stadium erupted. So for the players, I'm sure not all the players heard the whistle, which is why some continued, some didn't. I think that just looking at it, it looks like Leo players weren't aware that it could be picked up. Whether they heard the whistle or not is another question. But just the way they celebrated immediately, it looked like they thought it was the same type of rules as a PAT rule where you can't advance it. So that was interesting, but I'd imagine it was super, super loud there, especially at that point of the block that
Yep.
you probably couldn't hear the whistle unless you were really, really close to it.
Well, and in the press box in Columbia City, you can't really hear the outside noise anyway.
Right.
So I didn't hear the whistle up top at all. So,
Yeah.
I mean, even going back in the replay you just showed, that's the first time I see the Whitecap given the no good signal. I mean, just live, it felt in the moment like, boom, there it is. Huge win for Leo. And they're going to finish second place in the Northeast 8. And wow, what momentum is that going to give them going into the postseason? And instead, Columbia City wins. And credit to Coach Fox and credit to Grayson Bradbury and Stratton Fuller for realizing, hey, we got to go win this game now. And they went and won it. And now Columbia City's got to feel really good about coming off that loss against East Noble. The other thing I think, though, is that puts redemption on Leo's mind for two different teams in the Northeast 8 now for that sectional 19. So maybe we'll see. We'll see.
As well as East Noble has played, Jeff and I have talked about it, the best in the Northeast Indiana. I don't think they care. You know, they think they're better than anybody that they're going to run up against in Class 4A. And for what we've seen over the past, I mean, all the way even back. I mean, when you think back about that Snyder game too, I mean, it's pretty amazing what East Noble has done since that ball game under Coach Stewart. But yeah, it sucks. It's a horrible way to end the game. There's no doubt about that. But there's something in the water up there in Columbia City and blocking field goals to end games. It was a sectional last year or the year prior. I think it was 2 years ago when Leo was at Columbia City. Stratton Fuller got the blocked field goal to win that ball game. I believe that was in overtime. So I don't know what's going up there on that beautiful campus of Columbia City, but another one decided by a block. Well, I guess it wasn't decided actually this time.
Right. And it was senior night for Columbia City too, and there were a lot of senior memories. What's your favorite memory? Oh, they were jabbing at Leo, winning sectional over Leo, winning over and over again. I heard it, so it definitely felt extra good for Coach Fox and crew to win again, and especially like that.
Right.
Jared Jasper, number 13, outside linebacker, can rush from the edge, but boy, he had one of the best games he's had all season long. 2.5 tackles for loss and leading the team with 9 tackles. Did number 13 jump out at you at all?
13 jumped off the screen this week. Certainly, I really thought Brett Souter, 25, jumped off the screen too. And he's a pretty young kid from if memory serves me correctly. So yeah, that he was somebody that every time it felt like Columbia City got into the secondary, somehow 25 was there cutting at the legs to make the tackle. And Leo's got a good one in Brett Souter, certainly. I was impressed by Nathan Foster, too, because for a lot of that game, Columbia City was able to get to the second level with their ground game, and the McIntosh boys put a lot of pressure on the safeties and secondary of Leo to go make tackles, and they consistently showed up and were able to make those tackles. And then you turn around, and Foster's gone for more than 1,000 yards this year now. He's got over 100 carries on the season as well, and he just keeps chugging along. He's one of the best in Northeast Indiana for sure.
Yeah, averaging 7.7 yards a carry. And Souter is the exact same guy that Tim and I thought jumped off the screen at us when we went to Leo for the East Noble game. And looking at Grayson Escara, he had one of his best games of the season, completing 15 passes for 162 yards, plus the big 62-yard strike to Brock Schott for a touchdown. Tell us about the junior quarterback.
He looks more comfortable, and it feels like you can see that the game is slowing down a little bit more for him as this season has progressed. He feels like he's more in control of the offense as well. That Brock Schott 62-yard touchdown, he took off and nobody was going to catch him.
That was a tight end screen, wasn't it? Wasn't that like
tight end screen. Watch the linemen. There may be a few downfield here, but Schott takes it.
Isn't that allowed though on a screen? If the ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if the ball's caught behind the line of scrimmage, it's legal even if the offensive linemen are downfield.
I mean, it's close when you line that up where he's catching that ball. It's really close.
Really close. So I think there may be some Columbia City fans thinking about that too. But this is the thing that impressed me is, boom, he's gone, and nobody was going to catch him once he hit that open seam. And and that's the U speed on full display.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, the other games that we were at was the New Haven game and the Blackhawk Christian. Blackhawk Christian losing 38-7. Aiden had the call. He's at school up in Taylor University right now. Chip Bennett with a touchdown in that game. And then over there, East Noble, 65-0 on New Haven. So East Noble is just rolling as we get ready for sectional number 19. So let's just go over some of the pairings before we talk about next week's games. Here in the 6A sectional 4, Homestead getting the bad draw, if you will, because they are in the bracket with the Indy schools.
Yep.
Going to be tough for Homestead to get out of this one, especially that first round game. And then looking at sectional number 2, Snyder versus Elkhart. Got to be Snyder, got to be Carroll. That's going to be a huge, huge rivalry or a rematch.
Yeah, and that would be at Carroll as well. So it would be a home game, in town game for both of those schools.
Man, would that be? And that's exactly what Snyder wants for sure. Yep. Over here, 5A sectional 11, Goshen at Warsaw. I got to say, you got to give the advantage to Warsaw on that one, but they're a little bit down this year. Concord's been ranked number 1 in the state, and they're traveling to Northside. What do you guys think? Think Northside could pull out a victory in that one?
Jeff, I think it started really well with beating Wayne the way they did. Yeah. Now, if they host Carroll this Friday. So if they could reproduce, I'm not saying have to win, but if they can reproduce the offensive and defensive capabilities that they did against Wayne, that could really lead that momentum. And then they get a bye week, which we've all known about the injuries for Northside that they piled up throughout the season. So having that another week to be able to rest their players, I'm telling you what, Northside could stun the north part of the state and beating Concord. I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah, and obviously after looking at Concord's schedule, Goshen has no shot here at Warsaw. So right. Warsaw versus the winner of this game here. Concord played them tough.
And Jeff, go back to Concord's schedule. Look how close a lot of these games are. I mean, you're talking about one possession type of games against a lot of these schools. Common opponent, you can look right there, week number 4. All right, Concord and Northridge. Northside opened up their season with a win at Northridge, and Northside handled them pretty decently, but a lot of close games for Concord this year. They have not been just blowing cats out, so they're definitely deserve that number 1 ranking. Don't get me wrong at all. But Northside is not going to be scared of anything that's going to come down that pipe.
Well, and Concord's got to be careful this week because Plymouth already went and beat Warsaw in overtime this season. So that's not a slouch or an easy game for them to get into the postseason either.
Very good call. Yep.
No, and you're playing Northridge here. That's a huge win. And yeah, with Concord, your close games are against those elite programs in Northwood, Warsaw, and Northridge, like you said, Tim, got them pretty easily there. But Mishawaka, how many times have we seen them at semi-state going up against Snyder? And they're 6-2 on the season.
So they dropped down to 4A then, huh?
Yep.
The Caveman.
Yep. Great stadium, right in the middle of a neighborhood. It's awesome up there.
Good memories there. Good memories.
Oh, yeah. For you, for sure.
Class 4A, sectional 20. Culver Academies at Lebanon, Muncie Central at Logansport, Frankfurt at Huntington North, and Marion getting the bye. I mean, of course, we're all going to be homers for Huntington North here. And Jaron, I know you're pretty close to the program. What do you think about this pairing for them?
Couldn't have been better because on the other side of the bracket, Logansport I think is 7-1, and Culver Academy is also 7-1. So they got the nice bye in terms of playing Frankfurt, and then should be a winnable game against Marion. And Jeff, I mean, I walked through the halls at Huntington North. I couldn't tell you the last time that they won a sectional football championship. So even playing for one would be great for Coach Eschbach and those guys. But yeah, they avoided the powerful side of the bracket certainly with that draw.
Yep.
That's excellent. And then moving on, 4A sectional 19, the one we all love to talk about. This game right here, What's East Noble like to do? They like to run the rock. Southside, they have proven last couple of weeks they can shut down the run. Southside is getting better, and better. Can any of you guys see upset alert here?
Ugh.
I think East Noble's too good.
That's a
Thad,
tough
Hunter, what do you guys think?
It would have to take a lot for Southside. Southside would have to play, I think, a perfect. I mean, I've done a lot of Southside games this year, so like I'm rooting for them. Like, but they would have to take an A+, 100%, no mistake free. It would have to be a lot for them to win that game.
I think one of two things would have to happen for Southside to win that game. Either you play shut down defense, just take everything away at the line of scrimmage, cover the receivers perfectly. And don't allow East Noble any more than like 14 points. Either that has to happen, or Southside's going to have an offensive explosion. I mean, obviously they had that huge win against Lures. That's a big win for the program. But East Noble, this is a team that they have the high-powered offense and a defense that can shut anybody down. Defense that shut out Columbia City for an entire half. So Southside is going to have to play either incredible defense or have an offensive shootout to be able to, at the very least, keep it close and possibly even win that game.
Yeah, and we've seen East Noble. They're not one-dimensional. Riley Biddle has absolutely blossomed this year at quarterback. So, and their wide receiving core is outstanding. They just added a fourth one, 2 games ago that had 2 touchdowns that you were at, Jeff. I don't remember his name off the top of my head.
Jordan Borders.
There you go. So, I mean, I'm telling you what, East Noble, they're one of the most legit teams I've seen all year, and we've seen some good ones, no question. Warren Central, Lawrence North, we've seen some really good football, and East Noble stands out in the crowd.
Yeah, and Borders goes 6'2", about 190 pounds. So you just add another big target in that receiving core. Yeah, for sure. That's going to be a fun one. Leo, we're going to give the edge over to Calb. So now you can have an East Noble Leo matchup,
which would be
Leo
at
again.
Leo.
At Leo again. And then looking at Columbia City versus Dwenger, I got to give the edge to Dwenger in this one, even though I think Columbia City has the better offense and they have the better star power in Stratton Fuller. What do you guys think about this one? Do you think this is a pick-me game?
So
go ahead, guys.
From what I've heard is, I don't want to say this like out loud, but I think from what I heard is Henry Jordan is out for the season.
No, that's not true.
Not true. Okay.
At least they haven't said that.
Yeah. So, I mean, Dwenger, from what I've heard, they play very, very well run defense. So if Columbia City brings the running attack, I think Dwenger is able to hold him on the run. But then yet again, Columbia City throws the ball too as well. So I think that game could be that's a 50-50 game in my hands.
I want to see Grayson Bradbury throw the ball 10 to 15 times this week to make me feel like they've got a chance against Dwenger. Because if they get down early like they did against East Noble, I don't know what you're going to do, because Bradbury he didn't have the reps against New Haven, and you could kind of see he was rusty at East Noble the next week. And the flex bone is hard to stop, and it's something different that Dwenger's not going to be used to seeing. But you got to see something from the quarterback too. A little. I mean, 5 passes just isn't enough probably to win a game at Dwenger.
Yeah, 6 yards, but it was a touchdown to Sam Bean.
Right.
Shout out there, but 100%, because make no mistake about it, if you're one-dimensional and it's running the ball, Bishop Dwenger can figure that one out. They've got the second-level guys in that linebacking core that Tim's been raving about all year. Man, they are legit. I watched that Snyder game last week, and Ellinger and Groves and those guys, not only do they look the role, but they just fly around. So
Ellinger, Peter Thiel had a great game. He's had an outstanding year on the defensive line. Tommy Pori on the defensive line, exceptional. They're exceptional. They're hard to block. And then filling the hole, Dylan Tippmann and Ellinger with Groves in the middle of that. Keep playing. I mean, that defense, Columbia City's going to have to be able to throw the ball. If Dwenger can pin their ears back with no real worries of a long ball like what Snyder did, with Snyder being able to be two-dimensional with Aaron Vance getting out of the pocket and throwing some really good balls, that opened up the Braylon Burton and the Jordan Davis to be able to have a game. So I think, and Jaron hit it on the head in my opinion, it's getting him reps. This is a Norwell team that you're going to beat if you're Columbia City. I would throw the ball 15 to 20 times at least if I'm Columbia City, just to prepare themselves
100%.
to move into that next week against Dwenger, because I'm telling you what, and that defensive staff and Coach Nepper on the defensive coordinator for the Dwenger Saints, they will come after it. And I'm telling, they'll load the box like what we saw Northside do against Southside and against Wayne, Jeff.
Yeah, how about this, Tim? I'm going to pull an Aaron Vance against Northrop. I'm going to say my quarterback has to complete 7 passes to 7 different receivers before we even think about stop making passing a priority in this game against Norwell.
Absolutely.
I test the kids. We're going to get out of our comfort zone. We're going up against Norwell, a 2-win team, but these guys are solid under Coach Gerber. I mean, they're going to play fundamentally sound football. I would challenge them and say, listen, we're going to pass, I don't know, 2 out of 3 plays until we hit 7 different receivers, and then do some kind of challenge your team that way. Because you're right, you're not going to win the conference championship, and the season now starts on week number 10. So you've got a glorified scrimmage coming up.
Absolutely, Jeff. Yep. I mean, you nailed it right there. There's no doubt about it. They got to prepare for that next week against Dwenger. It'll be at Dwenger. Which it'll be a super hype crowd because they expect their defense to beat Columbia City. I'm just telling you that right now. They expect it. And
I'm telling you right now, Bishop Dwenger, yes, they have respect for all opponents, but they are Bishop Dwenger from the SAC, 4 state championships. Was it 5 state championships? They're expecting to win this game. They don't think Columbia City is going to run on Dwenger. No. They're going to stop that run is what they're thinking. They're going to have to get creative, maybe through the air. Now, New Haven at Wayne. Wayne's just going to win this game. It's just going to happen. So we could have really, really good games in week number 2 here, which would be so much fun to see. But, going back to Wayne, I mean, I got to tell you, my heart broke a little bit out there, going there to see Kemar play and all that. Because I'm hoping that, it was something like the flu or something, because the body language was just not good on the field. Any college coaches watching from the stands saw that. The body language just was not good. So we're going to move on here. Class 3A, sectional 28, Norwell at Lures. Lures got to win that game.
Got to.
Thad, what's your thoughts on that?
I think that's definitely a must-win for Lures, especially since with the loss to Southside, like what they just had. I do think Norwell is going to come out firing, but I think I'd say I give Lures the edge in that game. Norwell, they are well coached. Jeff just talked about Josh Gerber. I think he took him to a NE8 conference back in 2020, NE8 conference championship. That is, got him all the way to the sectional championship against Concordia. So I think Norwell will come out firing, but I think Lures probably pulls away from him in the end.
I love this sectional. Ole Miss, they're vets. Tim and I saw them last year in a regional loss against Leo. I mean, this is a great program right here. They got a Division I wide receiver on that team. Bishop Lures at 5-3, and Heritage at 7-1 will be your favorites in this sectional.
Not fun for Heritage, though, to have to go to Delta to start sectional play. That's not going to be a fun drive for Heritage to go and be 90 minutes on the road, basically, to Muncie.
This is true, but if you got to go to Delta, then you want to go with a group of veteran players, some real good seniors, and they got them there. I mean, their key positions, they have seniors that have been playing together for a long time. And I could definitely see Heritage taking this sectional. Moving on, Class 3A, sectional 26, Lakeland at Garrett, Woodland at Tippecanoe Valley. Shout out to Woodland getting the win over South Adams. No matter what, they're going to finish this season 500 or better. So a huge shout out to the Woodland community and first-year head coach Brock Rohrbacher. I mean, just let's take a step back. Look where Woodland was last year at this time. And now they're going to be a 500 winning percentage team this year. And, I mean, sky's the limit for them. At Tippecanoe Valley, West Noble at Angola, advantage to Angola, Concordia at Fairfield. Concordia wins that game right there. But I got to say, this is Garrett's sectional to lose.
Yeah, Tippecanoe Valley's tough as well, Jeff. I think they're 6-2 or something to that effect. But that's hard to play up there at Tippecanoe. That's a small community that absolutely loves their football. It's like a Woodburn type of deal. They absolutely love their football program, Tippecanoe, and they are going to. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be a walkthrough. There's no doubt about it. But I agree with you that it is Garrett's sectional to lose if they play to their capability.
Yeah, right now, head coach Chris DeBue has got to be right up there in the state.
Yeah,
for coach of the year, what he's been able to do with the Railroaders.
Yeah, you got to put Coach Dinan in there with winning the SAC title, and playing the tough schedule with those 6A opponents, and then of course Coach Stewart up there at East Noble, I would put up there as well.
100%. I'd like to think head coach Brock Rohrbacher is in that conversation as well. I'm just so excited for Woodland. At first, I was like, well, Coach Rohrbacher really hasn't had that great of a record throughout his career. But Tim and I talked with him earlier in the season. He's in a totally different headspace now. You got to remember, this is all-state linebacker, state champion. He won when he was at Snyder state championship. But he's in a totally different stage in his life right now. Kids are out of school, all that stuff. And I just feel like I'm just really excited for that community and him. They got some stability, back to the program there. So that's great. Well, this Friday, Fremont at Blackhawk. Carson and Joe's going to cover that game. Carroll at Northside. Tim, let's go to you on this one. You'll have the call here. The Carroll Chargers traveling to Northside. I mean, if you asked a week ago, you're probably saying Carroll wins this game 62-7. Now it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a different game here.
Yeah, with Kingley back, he's a difference maker. Now, Marcus Williams, he played really well against Southside. I know he got some rushes against Wayne as well, the sophomore beast of a running back. But Caleb Kingley, the other sophomore that was the starter at the beginning of the season, who's dealt with that ankle injury, him healthy is a difference maker. There's no doubt about it. But I'm super excited to see Carroll. We don't get to see them live very often. So coming to Northside, I'm excited to see Jimmy Football and watch him run the ball, and Starks and that outstanding player, and Newhauser on the defensive side of the ball. I'm really excited to finally get to take a peek at Carroll live in person. That is, I'm really excited about that. There's no doubt about it. But you're right, Jeff. A week ago, you're probably thinking it's going to be Carroll probably decently pretty big. Now, I don't know. Also the other thing, Carroll's got the SAC locked up. So even if they lose and Snyder wins, they have the tiebreaker over Snyder, they win it. So, is that lack of edge? Is there going to be a lack of edge? We'll talk to Coach Dinan about that tomorrow. I'm sure he's going to say, heck no. But it's still teenagers.
Better not.
It's teenagers, and it's tough. It's tough to get teenagers ready every single week. But yeah, I mean, Sullivan and Starks, to be able to see them live, I cannot wait for it, Jeff. I expect the Northside crowd to come out like they did against Southside and really pack their side of the field, because Carroll and their fan base are going to pack the opposite side on the visiting section. But Malik Moore is going to have a really good game. Kingley is going to have to rush for over 100 yards, I believe. Tristan Newsom's going to have to be able to stay mistake-free. And the absolute key is, I think Northside's got to win the penalty battle. They got to keep it low on that penalties. Not giving Carroll free yardage is going to be a big, big key in this game. But, yeah, look at this number. That Newhauser, I haven't seen live. I can't wait to see him live and how big and agile he is as a sophomore, Jeff. So it's going to be a fun Friday evening, no doubt.
Tim, as a freshman, I was on the practice field with him. He looks like a mini Brian Urlacher, if you will.
Okay.
I mean, my goodness. And look at Ashton Wagner now, 20 tackles on the season. So
Yeah,
he's really picked up his play as of late.
Yeah, and he's dealing with a broken hand. I know he had early in the season. I saw it casted up earlier in the season. He's an outstanding baseball prospect, probably one of the best in the area in his class, if not the state. He's a very talented baseball player. But yeah, I'm excited to see that defense for Carroll. I'm excited to talk to Coach Dinan tomorrow night. Jeff and I will talk to him. So it's gonna be a fun Friday evening to close out the regular season. And then we get into crunch time, which everybody can't wait for. But to end the regular season on a Carroll at Northside, I couldn't be more stoked about that.
Yeah, Southside at Northrop. Hunter, get to see Southside again. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Archers make it 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. Southside sitting at 2-6 on the year. Northrop still at 1-7. I think this is going to be a fun battle. I mean, you got Callison for Northrop along with Guilford and Jamari Brown, who has turned it up this year. And then Southside on the other end, like with what they've been doing, getting those wins over Concordia and Lures, and then only losing 6-0 to Northside. I think Southside's on a bit of a heater right now, but I'm super excited to see what Northrop brings on their hands of things, trying to see if they can pick up the second one of the year. Callison, you see those numbers there. That's just tremendous. Over 1,000 yards passing. Jamari Brown and the running side of things too as well. So just super excited to see these two go at it once again. I think I'm going to get another close game. I've had the cure of getting a bunch of close games this season, and I'm hoping to get another fun one out at Spooler.
Most definitely. Thad, you're heading to Leo for the DeKalb game, and then they'll turn around and play again. How weird is that?
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I tell you what, in looking things over, this is probably going to be a running attack on both sides. You know, we know about Leo. They can run the football extremely well with Nathan Foster, and DeKalb, they can run the ball in their own right. You know, they've got they've got a real good running game themselves.
Caden Hinkle.
Caden Hinkle, 697 yards on the season, 99 yards per game Caden Hinkle averages. So I would not be surprised if this is a running attack both from the Barons and from the Lions, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get the same thing again in Waterloo next weekend in the first round of sectionals.
Yeah, and Hinkle doing that. That's 7 games played, so they're still waiting to upload the stats from this past game. And then we have Jaron, Adams Central at Woodland. What an interesting game we have right here. I'll pull up the ACAC standings, but I mean, Woodland has really put it together as of late. And to be honest with you, when they lost that game against Heritage, I thought, no shot. This team finishes 500. You know, they were just 1-2 at that point, but you figure Bluffton, they can get a win here. But I was thinking, no with Jay County, no with South Adams, no with Adams Central. And shoot, they rattled off 4 in a row. Like, holy smokes.
You're just talking about Coach Rohrbrocker, and certainly it feels like Coach has gotten his message across now, and you would have to think that the kids are buying in now going into this Adams Central game. Adams Central has been the cream of the crop kind of in the area when it comes to football over the past handful of years. They're always good. They seem to always win the ACAC now. State every single year in 1A and bumped up this season. But you give Woodland a chance, and you give them a fighter's chance in this game. And I just don't think that would have been something we would have said in week 1 of the year. That tells you how much Woodland has grown as this year has progressed. And it does say a little bit Adams Central just down maybe a tick this year than from what they've been. They're still really good. And Roach, the sophomore quarterback, I'm excited to see him play and see him run that high-powered rushing attack for Adams Central. And, you know, for Coach Moser, 148-50 tells you the story. He's as good as they come in the area, and AC they've got a chance to win the 2A crown this year. There's no doubt about that. So should be fun to see these two face off, and I'm excited to see Woodland for the first time this year and see where that program has gotten to through the course of this season, because they played well this week against AC. Tippy Valley's a tough opponent, and they've got a lot of pride, like we talked about earlier, in that community for their football team. But you play well this week against Adams Central, it gives you that confidence to go in and try to compete with somebody like Tippy Valley.
Adams Central here in this sectional 35 here. They just going to run away with it?
Well, unfortunately, they got bluffed in the first game, which is unfortunate for everybody because those should probably be the two teams that are facing off in the championship.
Right.
No offense to Busco or Manchester, but those are probably the best two teams in the sectional. I don't see Adams Central falling in that sectional. And yeah, Busco, they won the small division in the NECC, and that's a nice year for Coach Sade and company. Nice to get back on track for them too after last season. But it's Adams Central's sectional to win, and it might be Adams Central's regional to win too.
And guys, let's take a stab at Snyder at Wayne. Landon couldn't join us, but this game right here, what are your guys' thoughts? I mean, do you think Wayne bounces back? I think Snyder's just going to be same old Snyder. They could possibly win this game. Yeah, JH is predicting 31-17.
I think that's pretty accurate.
And we know Coach Haydock he's going to be resting people in this game. So, yeah, what do you guys think?
Well, how much do you think Coach Tippmann thinks about resting some guys too? I know you get the extra week in 6A. You don't have to play next week, but they're not really necessarily playing for a ton either with the SAC out of reach.
I'm 70-30 pass run again if I'm Snyder in this game, just to feel some things out, maybe iron out a few wrinkles, even if that's with the pass game. I still don't want to show any of my trick plays. I don't want to get that out there on film. But yeah, just give your postseason opponents more things to worry about. I felt like that Northrop game, Coach Tippmann, outstanding game plan there, where Dotson had over 300 yards passing for the first time in I think 2 seasons. I think you have to go all the way back to Hoppert's junior year to find a 300-yard game passing and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just stuff that you don't equate to Snyder that much. But, once again, you're in a game that you're going to dominate in that Northrop series. They've won 28 straight. Is that right, Hunter? 28?
Yeah, it's 28 straight now.
28. So I just think that's great. And that's what you get when you follow the Snyder program is you get a lot of this inner wisdom, this inside baseball wisdom, if you will.
You get a lot of wins too.
They get a lot of wins. That's right. So you're getting inside the look of a great program, one of the best in the state of Indiana. Coach Tippmann, the reigning IHSAA Class 5A Coach of the Year. So,
yep.
You get to learn about little things like that. And I just think that's great. So
yeah, and sitting up in the press box, normal fans don't get to hear or see different coaching staffs and how they talk to each other up in the press box and how they communicate down on the field. Snyder is right up there with their communication level. It is pretty tremendous. I was sitting really close to him. I just had Tyler Selhorn sitting in between me and the coaching staff there at the Dwenger game, and it was impressive to listen to, Jeff. They think on a different level, and you see that translated on the field. But yeah, I think Snyder's game plan is to really push the pedal all the way to the floor to start that game. Try to get out to as big as a lead as you can, and then maybe try to bring in some of your younger players that haven't had a lot of reps just to start building depth for the future. But I think this is definitely a Snyder win by a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, guys, we had one comment here from our man, Zach Welklin. He said, do you have the B-Log hit from the beginning?
Yeah, so there was a hit, and I caught it on my replay because I replayed it during the game, but I don't think
just real quick. Here's Dougie Henry.
Oh yeah. Watch this, fellas. If you haven't seen it, he backs out of this, and then watch him attack.
6. See that closing speed?
Oh.
That closing speed right there, and then he gets a hand on the foot.
And Snyder did recover that, but that was a big momentum play for them, no doubt. What Zach's talking about is Brandon Logan on the defense. I had it replayed, but I don't think I tweeted it out, Jeff. I was in such a rush Friday
okay.
night when I got home. I don't think I tweeted it out, but Brandon Logan, there was a pass across the middle, I believe it was. And he had the most textbook tackle that you will see. Shoulder and gut, both hands behind the running, the player, the offensive players right behind in the bend of his knees, picked up, laid right on his back. It wasn't a suplex type thing or anything, but it was
the perfect form tackle.
Perfect. It was absolutely perfect form tackle. And you see why he's heading to South Bend to play safety, because that tackle was something special. It hurts me that I didn't get that tweeted out, especially with Zach bringing it up. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Zach. Zach's got to keep us right. You know what I mean?
Always.
Well, and I know we had a little text going on about Snyder's new stadium. They unveiled some plans or some renderings that may not be the official renderings yet, but always fun to look at.
Yeah, from what I heard, Jeff, the bid hasn't been decided. They've taken bids and different design plans for their stadium from different construction firms around the area. I don't think they've decided on one yet. At least that's what I was hearing last Friday night. But I saw, I did a Dwenger game. Yeah, a Dwenger soccer game about 2 weeks ago. And athletic director there, Dwenger, Greg Slee, and Steve Zimbo, the athletic director at Snyder. Zimbo was over there looking at Dwenger's press box to get some ideas of what he wants. And, the 8 athletic directors that are good like those two, they even asked me, hey, as a media, what are some of the things that you look at? So they're going to get that right. There's no doubt about it. And it seems like it's going to happen. I think it would have to be something drastic for it not to happen. But yeah, they're talking about all different kinds of things with 2 stories. And, there's a limit with the amount of width. If you're over a certain width of the press box, then you have to have an elevator. There's some OSHA rules in that. So they're trying to, I know what Dwenger and athletic director Greg Slee said, when John Bennett was the athletic director at Dwenger at that time, he made it a half inch shorter than what the regulation was to not have to put a elevator in there. They're also talking about having a separate entrance. I know that AD Zimbo was really wanting a separate entrance for the coaches to not have to walk up through the crowd. They want that especially for the opposing coaches. They don't want anything to happen. So better safe than sorry. They like to have a separate entrance, maybe on the backside for media and for the coaches that are going to be in the press box. So
just like Carroll.
Exactly. So they're thinking about it in a full aspect type of things. I expect them to absolutely nail it. There's no doubt in my mind, but it sounds like it's 99.9% going to happen.
Can't wait as a Snyder alum. Can't wait. Excited for them to play their home game at Snyder.
Oh, that first game on campus will be the most. You're going to have people parking at St. Charles Church and walking down there. That place,
not a bad walk.
No, it's an easy walk. Yeah, I mean it's maybe 400 or 500 yards, depending on how deep you are parked in the church parking lot. But I mean it's the lane parking lot's going to be full, completely full. It's going to be a sight to see, no doubt about it. And there ain't anybody more excited about it than Steve Zimbo, the athletic director at Snyder.
You're giving me chills just talking about it, Tim. I mean,
hey Hunter, what do they put in the center of the field?
Oh, I think it's tough now because they changed their logo. So I mean, I think you could have the Snyder script there, but I mean the new Panther logo I think is really, really sick. So I wouldn't be shocked if they go with the look of the new Panther in the middle.
It's gonna be the script.
I think
it
will be too.
100%.
Tradition.
Yeah. Well, excellent, guys. Yeah, another packed week of 7 games. We got another this week too before sectionals kick off. So we appreciate everybody for joining us. Any last words or last comments from you guys?
Yeah, I mean, just for the fans out there, we're going to have Coach Dinan on and Coach Johnson tomorrow night to preview Friday night's game. I think the only coach that we haven't been able to get in the Summit Athletic Conference is Coach Lindsay, so we're going to try that on the lead up to.
Coach Bowen was sick that week.
Oh, that's right, and Coach Coach Bowen at Northrop. So we'll try to get both of those guys on next week on leading up into sectionals, but stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and
and
join us. Sorry, go ahead, Jaron.
no, I think you're going to say exactly what I'm going to say, Hunter.
Join us for soccer and volleyball action this week. Volleyball sectionals, regional semifinals, soccer. It's gonna be a great week of playoffs.
Yeah,
for
Angola-
those.
Cross promo.
Angola Concordia boys could be very high scoring. Angola, they've put up, I think, at least 2 double-digit scoring games this year. They got a 29-goal scorer on their team as well. And Concordia, they go up against a tough schedule. Nathan LeBon's their leading scorer. That one could be a very fun matchup.
Love it, Dad.
Yeah, most
Are
definitely.
we
All right. Well, on behalf of all the guys at Summit City Sports, enjoy the rest of your week. We got interviews coming tomorrow, a lot of action that you're only going to find on ihsatv.org. That is all postseason games are on that channel. You can go to summitcitysports.com and just click on live video, and you can find the links there. So just click on live video right there up in the menu, and you can find all the games live and on demand. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and have a great rest of your week.
See everybody.